Parshas BEHAR speaks about the mitzvah of Shemitah. Shemitah means the 7th year of the sabbatical, where we don't plow, we don't plant, we don't harvest. So the pasuk says, and the people, when they approach the year of the Shemitah, they're going to say as follows: V'chi somru, if you'll say, Ma nochal b'shana hashvius, what are we going to eat during the 7th year? Hein lo nizrav lo nesav es tevuaseinu. We didn't plant and we didn't gather in the tevua, the grains. Says Hashem, don't worry about it. V'tzivisi es birchasi lochem b'shana hashishis. I'm going to command my bracha in the 6th year. V'asasa tevua l'shloish hashanim. And the tevua is going to last for 3 years, 6th year, 7th year, and 8th year, until you have a chance to plant and harvest. It says the Rebbe Reb Zisha, a famous words. Stama, other people say it as well.
Which one is this?
Tafresh Lamed Zayin, B'Shem D'Noyam Elimelech, B'Shem his brother, Reb Zisha. Ki al yedei hashayla yitztarech hamakom l'tzavos es habracha. V'tzivisi es birchasi. I have to command my bracha. What does that mean? Because you asked the question, therefore I have to command my bracha. You asked the question, what are we going to eat in the 7th year? So the pasuk is not a bracha. It's, you asked, now I have to command my bracha to go out and give you food. Ideally, had you not asked, had you been on the madrega, on the level, that you would not have asked the question, you just would have been soimet, you would have relied on Hashem, you would have had bitachon. I wouldn't have to command my bracha to go. It would just go by itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvarav.
Amen. Amen.
That's what Semis asks. And explaining this mimer from the Rebbe of Zisha, he says, what's fair? What's the question that you're asking? Hein ma'anat, what are we going to eat? We didn't plant. Who commands the fields to give produce when you do plant? The same Hashem that gives you sustenance when you work the field. He'll give you sustenance when you don't work the field. The same Hashem that keeps you alive, He'll keep you alive during the 7th year. What's your question? What's your question? What's the problem? Says the Sfas Emes, the Yesod which we learned last week and we'll repeat again. A nace, a miracle, will only happen to somebody who breaks himself from the grasps of teva, of nature. Somebody who himself transcends beyond the way that nature, the course that nature governs the world with, and he rises above nature. He breaks out of the stronghold called nature, and he realizes that it's not the seeds which you planted in the ground that produce the food, but it's Hashem. It's masked through those seeds, covered. It's a picture, it's another layer, it's another division. We don't see Hashem. It's called nature. It's a mask. Just so that you think that it's not Hashem who's doing it. So there's some sort of natural, cyclical kind of idea that goes around and around and around, and this is what you do in order to do that, and this is the cause and this is the effect. But we have to know that it's all Hashem. When a person can break out of that and govern his life sheloi kederech hateva, not al pi the kolalim of teva, al pi nature, but rather he rises above that, then the Rebbeinu Shalom will do a nace for you. then the Rebbeinu Shalom will treat you above the level of nature. You don't have to plant in order to get food. What does one have to do with the other? That's just a trick that I try to trick people. You have to plant in order to produce. One has nothing to do with the other. It just appears that way. If you rise above nature, Hashem treats you above nature, and He'll make a nace for you. That's a nace, a miracle. But if you can't rise above nature, then the Rebbeinu Shalom cannot. He can't, but He doesn't do that nace for you. Just what we learned last week in the Indian of Kiddush Hashem, V'nigdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael. Beautiful Sfasemis, we said. This is the Rashi says that Rashi says that when a person gives up his life, he should not give up his life in hope that Hashem is going to do a miracle for him. Rather, he should give up his life so that Hashem to die, in order to die. Says Rashi, why? Because if you give up your life in order that an ace should happen to you, then Hashem can't make an ace for you. So Rashi says. So Samus explained, what do you mean Hashem can't make an ace for you? Hashem wants to make that ace for you, but He can only make that ace for you, or He will only make that ace for you, if you give up your life, your life, and you mean to die, because then you've risen above. You've shown that nothing that anybody says or do can possibly affect your emunah and bitachon and the Rabbanu Shalom, and nothing that a human being can do will harm you. You've shown that. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to die. I'm makabel whatever Hashem wants for me. Then he'll make an ace for you, because you've risen above that teva. So now teva doesn't apply to you anymore. So an ace can happen, and you can stand inside fire without being burnt. But if you don't believe, if you were waiting for the ace to happen, you think that you don't really give up your life. You're only doing it because you want the Rabbanu Shalom to make that nace for you, then you haven't transcended Teva. So the Soid HaNace. The Soid HaNace means that the Rabbanu Shalom only makes a nace for those that don't govern themselves al pi derech HaTeva. But if you live within the realm of Teva, you don't have a nace.
Well, you can't, because Teva knows no nisi.
Right.
Reveals no giluyim.
No giluyim. Says the Sasemis, that's the pshat over here as well. That's the pshat. Why do you have to have it VCS Bechasi? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom won't do an open nace for you. He won't do an open nace for you. He won't drop mun from Shemayim during the Shemitah year because you don't have what to eat. He'd like to do that for you, but He doesn't do that for you. Why? Because you asked the question. You asked the question. What are we going to eat? So even though, again, we're talking about a person who keeps Shemitah. He doesn't plant. He doesn't work his field. He's holding in a level of bitachon. He's relying. The Torah says not to do it. I won't do it. Right? He's just questioning. So what am I going to eat? You questioned, so you didn't break teva. I'll have to command my bracha, which is a nace. It is a nace because you didn't plant, but it's a nace which is nislabish in teva. I will make my bracha in the 6th year so that it lasts for 3 years. Right? You can mistake that as not a nace. It's teva, right? You just had a good year at the 6th year.
You don't see that language anywhere else, do you?
No. It's
Never, and nowhere else.
I told this word to somebody, so he told me that Chavetz Chaim, in one of his farms speaks about bitachon. So he says there's 3 levels. There's teva on one side, there's nace on the other side, and in the middle there's something called bracha. And he derives it from this pasuk. It's not a nace, but it's not teva. It's called bracha. What we refer to as bracha. Right? Hashem gave me so much bracha. I was so blessed. I got so much. I got parnasa or children or whatever it is. I was blessed with bracha. What is bracha? What am I referring to? I'm referring to an excess or an abundance of something that's a little bit higher than teva. It's not the norm of the way that the world
more than your fair share.
You got the norm more than it. So it's almost like a nace, but it's not really a nace. It's not revealed. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing that is not governed by the laws of teva, right. But it's an abundance of it. That's vitzivisias birchasi. I'm going to command my baracha to apply to you, but not a nace. Why? Because you asked.
So you have to fall, therefore, within the realm of nature because you asked. So I have to do something within the realm of nature that looks normal. I think Rabbi Challis spoke about it a little in the Parsha class.
Yeah.
The guy who asked, is worried and he really needs it, he gives him a triple crop. The mamish, the guy who has bitachon, he gives him a regular crop. So the guy says, you know what, I have bitachon, I'll be fine for 3 years. And he starts eating the food, or at least satiety. He's full after only 1/3 of the amount.
Right.
Because it's, as he said, has a special vitamin B, vitamin bitachon. So it has vitamin B is in the food, and because of such, that means that's more of a hidden miracle that's in, because it's a bigger miracle to make you a single crop and to make you it triply last as long by filling you up so much quicker.
The word nes means saw nes. Look how you say raise a mast, to raise a sign,
in the ships,
right? To gather up your goals.
Yeah.
And nes is something that goes high. It rises above teva.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the hard part of the share tonight.
Hard part. Okay, so we got to listen.
Let's try to actualize this and make this a little bit practical. Okay. So, and this is discussion. So I'm not talking from a pulpit down to a congregation here. We're having a discussion together
with the vast crowd.
And I'm talking to myself. What does that mean to us? So, most of us, maybe all of us, go to work every day.
Every day.
Every day we go to work, right? Not Shabbos.
No, not Arab Shabbos.
Oh, the lucky people.
Not 2 days before Shabbos.
Really? Wow, that's a new level. Okay. to get ready.
But most people around go to work.
Yeah.
Why do we go to work?
For Parnasa.
For Parnasa.
Yeah, Parnasa.
But he's.
And if we would, one second.
Wait.
And if we wouldn't go to work?
If we wouldn't work, well, we have to believe in Hashem that will help us somehow.
So why do we go to work?
Why do we? It's a good question.
I think you were right the first time. You said for Parnasa, right? Parnasa, right?
To make an
You
effort.
got to do it.
Everybody likes their job, and everybody, needs to fill up the time a little bit, and you also need to do some chesed.
Full time.
But why do we go to work? Because of Parnasa.
Yeah, Parnasa.
Right?
You have to put some
So
Shabbos.
aren't we asking by doing that?
Yeah.
If you think about it, for sure, aren't we saying, Ma nocha? If we don't go to work, if we don't plant the field, what are we going to eat? Isn't that the question we're asking? So the Rebbeinu Shalom says, don't worry.
But
If you don't go to work, and he has to command it because you asked the question. Had you not asked the question, he just would have given it to you from the sky. Please Hashem, give me a gold watch. It would have fallen down from the sky.
Whoa.
Right? But because you asked, so it's not going to fall down from the sky, but you'll get an abundance. You'll get a bracha, right? But wait a second. That's only there. Right? So this is my thought process here. That's only the people of Shemitah.
Yeah.
Because they actually have bitachon. They're not big talkers, but they have bitachon. They don't work. They didn't go out. They listened to what it says in the Torah. They didn't go out to work in the 7th year. And they still had a question, so therefore they got the bracha only and not a nes, right? But what about us? Where's our bitachon?
well, we're doing this.
Are we zocha to vitzivisi es birchasi? How are we going to get this? We don't have the bitachon, and we're constantly every single day asking this question: what are we going to eat if we don't go to work?
But isn't the Shemitah the same way as Shabbat? You work this for 5-6 days, and then you do Shabbat, and the Shemitah is the same. You do 5, 6 years.
You're onto something. You're definitely
Shemitah means to let go. You come into another level.
Right. So one may conclude if they stop the shir here, that they should all just retire. Right. And it's not a wrong conclusion.
It's not a proposal.
Ramesh Rafal if you retire right now, you will have parnasa.
Wow.
It's guaranteed.
Did you learn with me?
It's guaranteed.
I know, it's guaranteed.
It's guaranteed.
So
it's not the wrong conclusion.
So what stops us?
But let's try. At least we have to fit ourselves into the pasuk.
Are we lacking bitachon? Is this?
Are we lacking bitachon? Well, let's see.
Because it's
we're certainly lacking bitachon, that's for sure. But
it's the old argument that
let's see. Let's examine ourselves and try to put ourselves into this pasuk.
Okay.
Right? Okay. What are we doing here? The people that rest on the 7th year also work during the first 6 years.
Sure.
So isn't that a problem? Why do they work the 6 years?
Would that go back to the klala?
So what?
Would that go back to the klala from Adam Rishon?
Yeah. So what do you do with the klala of Adam Rishon?
Well,
what do you do with all
I go back to the Aser Sedibra. Sheshet Shamim Tasu Melachtecha
Tavod Vasisa Kol Melachtecha
V'Yom HaShvi'i Shabbat V'Nafash.
So what do we do with all that? So the answer is like this. When you don't work the 7th year, what you've shown is that when you are working, it has nothing to do with the outcome. You're not working because of parnasa. You're working because you have a special tafkid to fill. You have a certain job to do in this world.
Right.
Yeah, some people are working, others because if they don't work, they're probably not going to be very productive. Right? Not everybody can learn all day. Right? So they need to work. But what is the focus of our work is not, if I wouldn't work, I wouldn't have parnasa, because that's a chisaron and bitachon. The reason why I have to take that year off is because I have to show that parnasa has nothing to do with my work. I'm working for a wholly different purpose. The farmers are working so that the Bnei Yisrael can have something to eat. The doctors are working so that the Bnei Yisrael
will be healthy.
So that if they opt to use a doctor, then there'll at least be somebody there to help them. And v'chulu, every job has a way that job contributes to the klal. There shouldn't be a job where you're not helping somebody. And if there is, at least you're helping your wife.
Yeah.
You guys staying out of the house, right? But
you're not married, are you?
But that has to be our focus. When we work, number one, we cannot tie the job that we're doing to the parnasa that we have. Dahainu. Okay, how does that translate itself? If your boss doesn't give you that raise that you were looking for, if you're upset, it's a chisaron and bitachon. I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset, but it's a chisaron and bitachon, isn't it? If you don't get that end of the year bonus like everybody else got, if you got upset, chisaron and bitachon. But I worked so hard. That's not why you worked hard. There's a different reason why you worked hard. You contributed, you helped, you made the world go round. Whatever you did in that by working, right? You helped your learning Torah, because if you wouldn't, whatever your focus is, it can't be that that's the determining factor of your parnasa. That's why you work 6 days a week, but you have to rest on the 7th day. It's to remind you. It's to remind you that parnasa is all from the Rebbeinu Shalom. If we do that, if we have that mindset, then at least we're v'tzivisias berchasim. We can be included in the bracha. Because when my wife asks for such and such, and I thought there isn't any money in the bank account. How could I spend a few $100s on that thing? But she really wanted it, so I got it for her, because
it's another halach.
That's my obligation, and who cares if there's no money in the bank account? The money will come out, and it'll come back in somehow. If we can at least have the small, in the daily kind of bitachon, right? First of all, you'll live a much better life, because you won't be afraid to indulge and spend what you need, at least.
Yeah.
And
don't get carried away.
Yeah, don't get carried away, but at least you won't be afraid. You won't be nervous. You won't be nervous, practically speaking. You won't be nervous. You'll be able to sleep at night. One of the big virim, the rich people in the city, told me that He said when he owed $2 or $3 million, he couldn't sleep at night. He said now he owes hundreds of millions of dollars and he sleeps just fine. There's something to that.
Yeah.
Because whatever, it's all a bunch of numbers. It just goes around and around and around, doesn't it?
Zeros.
Right?
Yeah, it's just
that mortgage and that mortgage and that mortgage. It's all, so you pay, there's revenue, covers that. How does that work? How does it all work? It works.
It's because the bankers want who's in Chinese.
Accountants, maybe. So, Hashem runs the world, and that's the bottom line. And that's how we can be B'chalal v'tzivyis esber chasi. But imagine if we didn't even ask the question. If we did go and sit and we learned the entire day and we were able to do that, and we didn't get nervous and we didn't get worried. Imagine such a madrega. Imagine such level. Is there anybody on that level? It's Rav Chaim Kanievsky. There's people around that are on that level.
Really, yeah.
I know somebody on that level who lives here in Toronto. I know somebody.
Then what?
He doesn't work. He's not in Kolo. Doesn't work. He sits and learns all day. And he has bitachon that Hashem will give him money.
Wow.
And if anybody would like to sponsor him, I'm collecting. It exists. There are people like that.
Where does he learn? In the kolos? Or?
I can't give you any clues.
No, but he learns in a kolo, or he learns just to different people?
By himself.
Shuls? Wow.
With charusas, but not part of any program.
Wow.
Big Talmud Chacham. It's not even v'tzivis esber chasi. Then such a person has, as long as he doesn't ask the question, that's his avodah. His avodah is don't ask that question. Then he gets the nace. The mon will fall from Shemayim. No question. That's what the Torah is teaching you here. Listen, not all of us are there, and most of us are not, but there is such a thing. It exists. And if we're not there, at least we should be asking that question, just asking the question, but we have that bitachon, and we're able to disconnect the hishtadlus from the parnasa, from the actual livelihood. Hashem gives us the livelihood. Not basar v'dam. No employer controls you. No employer can make you mad. No, it doesn't exist. Parnasa, no patience. Not you do have patience. You don't have patience. You do have people that rent your apartments. You don't have people that rent your apartments. It doesn't matter. Hashem. Of course, I'm a big talker, but why not? We're learning this passion.
Why not?
Rashi brings down the Gemara in Kedushin. The Gemara says that it's Rashi towards the end of the parsha. Here's the Gemara in Kedushin. Don't make him work too hard. If somebody had to sell themselves as a slave to you. I started a little bit too early. Rashi brings down the Gemara. The Gemara says, all of the parshios and Parshas Behar were said in a specific order. First it tells us to keep Shemitah. But if a person is too much into his money and he does things wrong during Shvius, he shouldn't have done that planting or that little thing that he did because he wanted the money. So his punishment is that he's going to have to sell his objects, which the Parsha talks about afterwards. That's why the Torah says in the 6th Parsha, when you sell your object, if he doesn't do tshuva sof mocher achuzasa, then he's going to have to sell his lands. It's the next part in the pasuk. Lo chazer bo sof mocher his basis, he's going to have to sell his house. Lo chazer bo sof alav b'ribis, and he's going to have to borrow with interest. Right? Kol achronos kashim rishonos. The later ones are much more severe than the first ones. Lo chazer bo sof mocher his atzmo, he's going to have to sell himself like a servant. He's going to have to sell himself to a guy, to an Anju. We also know that the Torah says in next week's parsha, Rashi brings it down, that if a person doesn't keep Shemitah, then right, that the land will automatically rest, and it'll throw you out, and you'll go into Golus. So you see that the end result for not keeping Shemitah is Golus. Right? Or you'll sell yourself as a slave. Essentially, Golus, even to a guy. What's the connection between not keeping Shemitah and Golus? So in Sefer Arkezayahu, he says it's Midah Keneged Midah. And I'll explain in my words what I hope he means. It says, the pshat is like this. If a person doesn't keep Shemitah, so then what he's basically saying is that Hashem doesn't own the land. The product that grows isn't coming from Hashem. It's coming because I planted it. I own the land. Not La Hashem ha'aretz u'maloa, but Li ha'aretz. I own the land. I own the land. That's what a person is saying. So Memela, a person gets golus, or he has to sell himself to a guy to show you that you don't own anything. So you thought you owned the land, and Hashem didn't own the land. What's the punishment? Not only don't you own land, you have to sell everything off, but you don't own anything. You don't even own yourself. Somebody else owns you. That's the Midah Keneged Midah in Golus that you get for not keeping Shemitah.
That's why the Jews went to Babylon.
Right. 1
year for every
1 year for every Shemitah. 70 years. So in Sefer Mimamakim, Moshe Shapiro says that this answers a question that's bothering him. On the one hand, Yirmiyahu and Novi in the Gemara Nedarim says that the reason why the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, you ever think of this? Is because of Gilui Arayis, Shivas Dam, and Avodah Zarah, 3 cardinal averos. On the other hand, the Torah says, Oz Tirta Arts of Shabbos L'Seh, and the Gemara says that the 70 years of Golus Bavel is because they didn't keep 70 Shemitahs during the times of the Bayis Harishon. During the times of the Bayis Harishon. So which is it? So he says, for sure it's because of Gilui Arayis, Shvichas Damim, and Avodah Zarah. That was the Avera. But how did they get to the mindset where they did such Averas? They threw off the concept that the Rabban Shalom runs the world.
That's right.
The Rabban Shalom doesn't run the world. The first thing they did was they didn't keep Shemitah. That was the first they didn't keep Shemitah, the first thing they did. So Hashem doesn't run the world. So if Hashem doesn't run the world, then who does run the world? Avodah Zarah? If Hashem doesn't run the world, then isn't it Hefker, Gilui Arayis? If Hashem didn't create you, I can do with you as I wish.
If you don't see that Hashem runs the world when you have a Beis HaMikdash, when will you ever see it? It's so hard to understand. We're so far away from it.
Right.
And that's when the Nebuchadnezzar becomes so powerful, because we're just going to idol worshippers. They were sold to non-Jews and they become idol worshippers.
Right. So what did Hashem do? He sent us into Golus. You know, imagine if you were invited out for a Pesach meal to a Hasidic home. And you eat gebraks, but they don't eat gebraks. And you see the Baal Habayis, he has his matzah over there, and he's eating matzah on off the table, on a different table, and he wipes up, left washes his hands, comes back to the table. And meanwhile, you're sitting there with your matzah and eating into the bowl of soup. And he's watching you with his mouth open. You want to eat gebraks? Okay, Kyo, go eat gebraks. But in my house, you're going to eat gebraks? In my house, you're going to eat gebraks?
Be very careful.
If we don't keep Shemitah in the Rabban Shalom's land,
His own house.
So then get out of here.
Of course. Giyavik.
So let's try to even take this even one step further. At the end of this week's parsha, it's a little bit Pasuk Nun Hey in Perach Hey, it says Ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim avadahim. The b'nei Yisrael, to me, avadim, they're my servants. Sher yotzeisi osam me'eretz Mitzrayim ani Hashem Elokecha. In Tiferes Shimshon, Rav Shimshon Pingat says that through this pasuk, Ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim avadahim, they're my servants. The Rebbeinu Shalom is telling us that until now, before I took you out of Mitzrayim, you were avadim to Paro. Now I took you out of avadim, and you are my avadim. What is an eved? What is an eved?
Servant.
Servants. What is a servant? What does a servant do? So what does it mean? It means that you have no time of your own.
Right.
You have no decisions of
You're
your
working
own.
for somebody else.
You're completely. There's no day. There's no night. There's nothing. He says a story. Once he was asked to to mill some flour for the matzah for Pesach, and he went and participated. And in the middle, he got very, very tired, and he went and he sat down. So he said, "Oh, I'm a ben chayrin. I'm free." An eved can't sit down in the middle of his work. It's not, you can't. You're completely meshubed, you're completely subservient to the master. You have no ratzon of your own. And the Rebbeinu Shalom says to us, Avadayim, you're not a ben chayrin. I took you out of Mitzrayim, but you're not a free person. You can't do what you want. You can't choose when you're going to eat and when you're going to sleep, where you're going to sleep. You have to do it on my terms. There's a Torah. These are the conditions. And you're subservient to that Torah. Avadayim. And if you don't do it, guess what? There's Gehenna. There's Oynish. There's punishment for that, retribution. Just like a servant. Doesn't do the will of the master, will get beaten. If we don't willingly accept upon ourselves this avdos, if we don't willingly acknowledge the Rabbanu Shalom in that sense as our master, then what happens? Hashem will put us back to the situation where we were before we were His servants, which were servants to somebody else.
That's right.
By hook or by crook, we're servants. So we're either servants to the non-Jew over there, or we're servants to the Rabbanu Shalom. Now, I want to explain. A servant to the Rabbanu Shalom is not a servant in the simple sense of the word. Ein lecha ben chayrin ela misha oisek b'Torah. The Gemara says, there's no free person like somebody who is osek b'Torah. Right? The Maimer, it says, Eved melech, melech. The servant of a king gets to go along with the king, wherever the king is. What's the pshat? And this will all bring everything together. When a person removes the Ol Malchus Shemayim, it's an Ol, it's a yoke, certainly. You're like an animal. Hashem has the yoke on you and He's leading you across the field, right? But if you remove from yourself the Ol Malchus Shemayim, if you remove from yourself the Ol Malchus Shemayim, guess what yoke you now have around your neck? The yoke of Teva. The yoke of Teva.
Yeah.
The yoke of nature.
That's right.
But kol makabel alav Ol Malchus Shemayim, if you accept upon yourself the yoke of Malchus Shemayim, the avdos, ki li b'nei Yisrael avadai, then mavirin mimenu al derech eretz v'al malchus. then the kings won't bother you anymore. There'll be no taxes, because you're clergy after all, right? There'll be no taxes. There'll be no derech eretz. You won't have to work. You won't have to govern yourself al pi teva, because you've broken out of teva and you've been makabel on yourself ol malchus shemayim.
And that's what the Shema means, right? The Shema, when we say the Shema, we recognize that we...
Absolutely, call makabel of ol malchus shemayim.
Before you say it.
So, when we accept upon ourselves the yoke of the avdus of Hashem, in essence we're becoming b'nei chayrin. We're becoming free people, which is an amazing thought. How does one get to the level where his life is not dictated by the confines of nature, by the boundaries of nature? If he transcends those boundaries, if he says nature doesn't apply to me because I'm the servant of the king, I can go into the palace, I'm allowed entrance into the royal wedding, or I'm allowed entrance into the lifnayu lifnim. Why? Because I'm the servant of the king. So it's the greatest amount of freedom, the greatest feeling and the greatest experience of what a real ben chayrin is somebody who becomes a servant to an infinite God. Because then there's no constraints anymore. Kol mekabel alav all Torah mavir minenu al malchus for all derech eretz. Because I've transcended nature and I'm not anymore constrained. Teva doesn't anymore dictate what's in my life. But in order to do so, I have to recognize that I am an Eved. I have to recognize that the Ribono Shel Olam owns that piece of land and determines what comes out from it. And therefore, I'm just here to serve you. You want me today to work the land? I'll work the land. You want me today to learn Torah? I'll learn Torah. You want me today not to work the land? You want me to rest? You want me to do whatever you want me to do? That's what I'll do. And I know at the end of the day, the wages of an Eved, right? An Eved of a king, I'm sure, they have very nice rooms. They have very nice food.
Sure. The
Eved of the king, Eved Melech is a Melech.
The palace.
Yeah, you live in the palace. So even though it's avdus and it's an it's a yoke, and it's difficult sometimes, but it's the greatest experience of freedom that ever exists. And if we don't accept that, and we don't see that the Ribono Shel Olam owns that land, and we don't see that the Ribono Shel Olam runs the world, then we get dropped back down into Teva. And guess what happens? How would one nation ever be able to survive amongst all the nations? Take the Ribono Shel Olam out of the picture, and the nation doesn't survive anymore. So we go into Golus. And now our lives are dictated by our daily routines. Yeah, if you don't work, you're not going to earn money. If you don't work, you're not going to earn money. Because you didn't have bitachon. You couldn't rise above nature. You couldn't realize that your life, that everything that happens to you has nothing to do with the efforts that you put in. It's the Ribono Shel Olam. So, you're left to the dogs. Right? Whatever happens, happens, right? Whatever happens, happens. Whatever nature has in store for you will happen. That's the way your world will run. But we know better. We are avodim to the Ribono Shel Olam. We do realize that the Ribono Shel Olam runs the world. We do have bitachon that our daily sustenance and everything else is determined ach v'rak from the Ribono Shel Olam, and everything is l'tayva. Everything is for our good. And if we do that, then we rise above the teva. And then we can be zocha to madregas and madregas, which are mamish nisim and aflotis in our daily lives. Not only vitzirisi as b'chasi, but even nisim gului and mamish. We all have such stories. Nisim gului, because we put our trust and our faith in the Rebbeinu Shalom. And that's the lesson of this week's parsha. We have to know, rise above the teva. Don't get stuck in the daily routine. If you do, you'll get angry, you'll want honor, you'll have taiva, you'll have gaiva, all the bad midos. If you don't get stuck and you realize everything's emotional, nothing will bother you anymore. It's the greatest experience of freedom that you'll ever have. Nothing will bother us. We'll realize it's all from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Nothing will touch us. Parnasa and every atzlacha and children, and everything comes from Hashem. If we do that, we'll break out of the nature until ultimately we'll become a people, a holy people that are living completely on B'tachan, will be zocha to the Geula, where we can keep again Shemitah in Yerushalayim, Mir HaKadosh, with the Binyan Beis HaMikdash from here, Amen.
Amen.